Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you entered? It's a common experience that becomes more frequent as we age. But what if a simple change in your morning routine could help sharpen your memory? In this video, we'll explore how a specific breakfast can enhance cognitive function, supported by scientific research. We'll delve into the nutrients that fuel your brain, share real-life stories, and provide practical tips to incorporate these changes into your daily life. Stay tuned to discover how you can take control of your memory and mental clarity. I used to believe that forgetting little things was just part of getting older. Walking into a room and not remembering why you went there, searching for glasses that were already on your head, or telling the same story twice without realizing it. At first, I laughed these moments off. My family teased me gently, and I shrugged, thinking it's just normal. But as time passed, those small lapses became more frequent and more unsettling. It wasn't just about misplacing my keys anymore. I would get halfway through a story and suddenly feel like I had told it already. Sometimes I couldn't remember if I'd locked the front door just minutes after doing it. The worst was the growing number of tip of the tongue moments. I knew the name. I could almost taste it, but the words just wouldn't come. Deep down, I started to feel afraid. Was this just ordinary aging, or was something more serious happening to me? Everything changed the day I forgot my granddaughter's name. It was a typical morning. We were sitting at the dining table, having breakfast together, just the two of us. She was telling me all about a drawing she had made at school. I listened. I smiled. But then, as I looked into her bright, familiar eyes, her name vanished from my mind. It was terrifying. For a few seconds, I stared at her, frozen, my mind blank. I knew exactly who she was, but the name, just wouldn't come. It was only a brief moment, but for me, it was life-changing. I covered it up quickly, changed the subject, and she didn't seem to notice. But I noticed. I felt a cold knot in my stomach. This wasn't like forgetting where I put my wallet. This was forgetting a part of my family, a part of myself. It was as if my identity cracked open in that instant, showing me just how fragile it had become. That same afternoon, my daughter called me. She gently asked if I was all right. She had started noticing my memory slips, but now she was genuinely concerned. "Dad, maybe you should talk to a doctor," she said. I told her I was fine, but the truth is I wasn't. That night, I lay awake, playing back every forgotten appointment, every repeated story, every moment I had wandered into a room with no idea why I was there. It all added up to something I could no longer ignore. I sat at my desk the next morning and wrote just one sentence. Something has to change. I didn't want to give in to fear. I didn't want to drown myself in pills or sit around waiting for things to get worse. I wanted to fight, but I didn't know how yet. So I began searching. I went online and typed how to improve memory after 60. At first, I found the usual: expensive supplements, miracle cures, and empty promises. None of it felt right. I wanted something real. I wanted to understand what was happening in my brain and what I could do naturally to support it. That's when I stumbled upon research about nutrition and the brain. I learned that what we eat, especially in the morning, can shape how our brain functions for the rest of the day. I was shocked. For most of my life, I had rushed through breakfast, toast, coffee, maybe something sweet. I never imagined that I was starting my day feeding forgetfulness. The more I read, the clearer it became. I wasn't fueling my brain, I was starving it. After years of failed attempts with pills, exercises, and quick-fix advice, I finally saw a new path. I realized that maybe I didn't need something expensive or complicated. Maybe I just needed to change what I put on my plate each morning. And that's exactly what I decided to do. I committed to changing my breakfast, not just once, but every day, with purpose, with care, and with the hope that it would help me find the clarity I thought I had lost. When I first started researching how to improve my memory naturally, I discovered that the food we eat, especially at the beginning of the day, can have a profound impact on brain health. This isn't a guess or an old wives' tale. This is backed by real scientific evidence from some of the most respected medical institutions like the National Institutes of Health, NIH, the Mayo Clinic, and numerous studies published in PubMed. Omega-3 fatty acids. One of the most essential nutrients for brain health is omega-3 fatty acids. According to research from the NIH and the Mayo Clinic, omega-3s, particularly docosahexaenoic acid, DHA, are key building blocks of the brain. DHA makes up about 30% of brain matter and is vital for maintaining the structure and function of brain cells. A 2017 review in the journal Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience emphasized that low levels of omega-3s are directly associated with cognitive decline and memory loss in older adults. In contrast, those with higher omega-3 intake, especially from foods like chia seeds, flax seeds, walnuts, and fatty fish like salmon, demonstrated better memory retention and improved brain processing speed. Biologically, omega-3s are crucial because they keep neuronal membranes flexible and healthy, which allows signals to pass smoothly between brain cells. Without omega-3s, neurons cannot communicate effectively, leading to memory fog, slower thinking, and eventually cognitive decline. When I added chia seeds and flax seeds to my morning oats, I wasn't just following advice. I was actively feeding the physical structure of my brain. Antioxidants. As we age, our brains become more vulnerable to oxidative stress, a process that damages brain cells and speeds up cognitive decline. This is where antioxidants play a critical role. The Mayo Clinic highlights that antioxidants from foods like blueberries, cocoa, and green tea help protect the brain by neutralizing free radicals, harmful molecules that can accelerate aging. According to a 2012 study published in Annals of Neurology, people who regularly consumed flavonoid-rich foods, such as blueberries and strawberries, experienced a slower rate of cognitive decline by up to 2.5 years compared to those who didn't. Flavonoids and polyphenol, found abundantly in pure cocoa powder and green tea, not only prevent damage, but also improve short-term memory, attention, and mental processing speed. When I added blueberries and unsweetened cocoa to my breakfast, I was providing my brain with a daily dose of protection. These antioxidants helped to keep my mind sharp and gave me a layer of defense against age-related memory loss. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the silent enemies of aging brains. Fortunately, turmeric contains curcumin, a compound scientifically proven to combat inflammation. A 2018 double-blind, placebo-controlled study published in the American Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry examined people aged 50 to 90 with mild memory complaints. Those who consumed 90 milligrams of curcumin twice daily for 18 months showed significant improvement in memory and attention compared to the placebo group. Brain scans also revealed fewer signs of amyloid plaque accumulation, one of the hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease. Curcumin works by suppressing inflammatory pathways and reducing oxidative damage. However, curcumin is poorly absorbed by the body unless combined with piperine, a compound in black pepper, which enhances its absorption by up to 2,000% according to research in Plantamedica. When I began adding turmeric and black pepper to my breakfast, I wasn't just adding flavor. I was adding a powerful, evidence-based anti-inflammatory tool to my daily routine. Another critical factor I learned is how unstable blood sugar levels can impair mental clarity. After a sugary breakfast like pastries or white bread, blood sugar spikes rapidly, providing a temporary burst of energy followed by a crash. This crash often leads to fatigue, sluggish thinking, and memory lapses. Research from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health confirms that a high glycemic breakfast increases the risk of poor cognitive performance later in the day. On the other hand, complex carbohydrates like whole oats and chia seeds provide slow-release energy, stabilizing blood sugar and supporting sustained mental energy. This is why my new breakfast made such a noticeable difference. I was giving my brain steady fuel instead of roller coaster spikes. That's why I now see oats as more than just a filling grain. They became the foundation that kept my mind energized throughout the day. One of the most fascinating discoveries in recent neuroscience is the gut-brain connection. According to studies published by the NIH, the gut and the brain are in constant communication via the gut-brain axis. A healthy gut microbiome, supported by prebiotics and probiotics, produces neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which influence mood, memory, and concentration. Poor gut health, on the other hand, can lead to systemic inflammation and even impair brain function. When I added natural, unsweetened yogurt and fiber-rich oats to my breakfast, I unknowingly supported the good bacteria in my gut. The result? I started to feel more balanced, less anxious, and more mentally alert. What we eat for breakfast sets the tone for this gut-brain communication for the rest of the day. Starting with processed sugars and refined flours sends the wrong signal. Starting with fiber, omega-3s, and polyphenol tells the brain, you can trust me today. It's important to emphasize that this is not a cure for serious neurological diseases. Changing breakfast won't replace medications or medical advice for conditions like Alzheimer's or dementia. But what the science shows, and what I personally experienced, is that these nutrition-based strategies can support brain health, improve day-to-day clarity, and potentially slow cognitive aging. For me, making these changes didn't replace my doctor's guidance. It empowered me to do something for myself, naturally every single morning. Breakfast isn't just another meal. It's a daily opportunity to protect our memory, sharpen our mind, and invest in our long-term well-being. And as I've learned, those small, daily choices build up over time. That's where the real magic happens. How I applied it. When I first committed to changing my breakfast, I wanted something simple and sustainable. I carefully built my morning meal around ingredients scientifically proven to support brain health. My simple brain-boosting breakfast. Half a cup of whole oats, cooked or soaked. 1 tablespoon chia seeds. 1 teaspoon ground flaxseed. 1/2 banana, sliced. A handful of blueberries, fresh or frozen. 1/2 teaspoon turmeric powder with a pinch of black pepper for curcumin absorption. 1 teaspoon pure, unsweetened cocoa powder. Optional. A splash of almond milk or a spoon of natural yogurt. But I made some mistakes at first. I thought using extra turmeric would speed things up, but made the taste overwhelming without adding more benefit. I also forgot the black pepper in the beginning, not realizing that without it, turmeric's active compounds barely get absorbed. And worst of all, I often rush through breakfast, eating too fast for proper digestion and absorption. Eventually, I slowed down and developed a morning ritual. I started by drinking a warm glass of water with lemon to hydrate my body. I prepare my breakfast calmly, stirring the oats, smelling the cocoa, and enjoying each spoonful slowly. Emotionally, this small change grounded me. I began feeling more in control of my mornings. Physically, I noticed I didn't carry that mid-morning heaviness anymore. A helpful tip: I started preparing my ingredients the night before. I pre-measured the seeds and oats, kept my fruit ready, and laid everything out so I could start the day with ease. This simple prep made it nearly impossible to miss a day, helping me build a habit that stuck. 5-day transformation. Day 1. I didn't expect much, but by the afternoon, something shifted. My usual brain fog felt lighter. I could focus better on conversations without struggling to follow them. Day 2. I noticed something remarkable. I remember my doctor's appointment without checking my calendar. Normally, I double-check my notes, but this time the memory came naturally. I stayed more engaged during the visit and felt mentally sharper throughout the day. Day 3. I challenged myself to organize some old family paperwork, a task I'd been avoiding because I kept losing track halfway through. But I stayed focused from beginning to end, finishing in one sitting. My mind didn't wander like it used to. Day 4. While chatting with my daughter, she asked me to recall the name of my childhood friend. Without hesitation, I answered Clara Jimenez. The name came to me quickly, without struggle. Later that day, my granddaughter smiled at me and said, "Grandpa, you're more like yourself again." That moment meant everything to me. Day 5. I felt more confident, lighter, and genuinely happy. I started reading a few pages before bed, something I hadn't done in years. I also picked up my old journal, writing reflections and small moments of gratitude. These weren't just improvements in memory. They were signs that I was reconnecting with parts of myself I thought I had lost. These 5 days reminded me that change doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes it starts with a simple breakfast and the patience to see where it leads. This journey taught me one essential truth: there are no miracle cures. The real miracle is consistency. For years, I search for instant solutions, a pill, a shortcut, anything to fix my memory quickly. But what truly worked was showing up for myself, day after day, with small, intentional habits. Consistency is where transformation happens. I now believe that breakfast sets the tone for the entire day. When I start with real, nourishing foods, I send my body and brain the right message. You are cared for. You could trust me today. And I feel the difference, not just in memory, but in energy, mood, and focus. This isn't just about eating the right foods. It's about building a life that supports brain health. I added gentle daily walks. I committed to reading a few pages each night. I started reaching out to old friends for meaningful conversations. I even began learning new recipes, which keeps my brain active and engaged. Learning, no matter how simple, a new dish, a word in another language, or a puzzle, keeps the mind young. Every time we learn, we build new connections in the brain. Science shows this is how we protect our memory. One thing I want to make clear, if you're on medication or have memory-related conditions, never stop your treatments. Always talk to your doctor. This breakfast and these habits are powerful supports, but they are not replacements for medical care. Above all, I learned that self-care begins with the smallest actions. The way we treat ourselves in the morning ripples throughout the day. It's not just about avoiding disease. It's about choosing to live fully with clarity and intention. Small, consistent choices can bring us back to ourselves. And that, to me, is the most beautiful lesson of all. If there's one thing I want you to take from my story, it's this. This is not magic. It's mindful self-care. I didn't transform my memory overnight, but I did experience real, lasting change by committing to a simple routine. If you're curious, I encourage you to try this breakfast for just 5 days. Pay attention to how you feel, your clarity, your focus, your energy. Small changes can lead to big improvements. Please share your experience in the comments. Tell me how old you are and where you're watching from. I'd love to hear from you and walk this journey together. It's never too late to feel like yourself again. Our brains can still grow, adapt, and thrive no matter our age. If this video helped you, please subscribe for more honest, practical tips about living well and aging with strength and joy. Thank you for giving yourself and your mind another chance.